Are you tense when you speak English, especially in formal or business situations? If so, this video is for you. We'll start by listening to my friend Kerry's phone call with the police after her car was stolen. Don't worry if you don't understand every single word that's said, just focus on the style of language that's used. Even though it's a serious conversation, she speaks in a way that's a lot less formal than you might expect. Afterwards, I'll break down that conversation, explaining the words and phrases that were used that you might not have heard before. And I'll also include some great tips on pronunciation to help you sound like a native English speaker. There's a free guide to this video in the description, but if you're already a member of our English Improvers community, this will be sent straight to your inbox. Now, one of the biggest challenges my students face is not finding a native English speaker to practice conversation with. That's why at the end of this video, you'll have the chance to take part in the conversation yourself, which will really boost your speaking confidence. But now, just listen to Kerry's bad day. Hi, I'm Steve. Let's do this. Hello, Lanchester Police, PC Max speaking. How can I help you?
Hi, I want to report that my car's been nicked.
I'm sorry to hear that. Where was it pinched from?
It was swiped off my drive last night.
Are you sure you locked it?
Yes, I double-checked.
Righto, let's take some details. What's your full name?
Kerry Adams.
And date of birth?
The 6th of the 7th, 1982.
What sort of car is it?
It's a silver Ford Fiesta. It's an old banger. I don't know why anyone would want it.
Hopefully it's just a joyrider using it to get home. They're not picky. What's the registration number?
It's a personal plate. KER5.
That should make it easier to spot. Does it have any other distinguishing features?
Although it's in decent nick, it does have a large dent in the centre of the bonnet and a rude sticker on the bumper.
What does it say?
Honk if you're horny. My friend Steve put it on, and I can't get it off.
When do you know for certain that it was safely on your drive?
It was definitely there at 6:30 last night when I got in from work.
And when did you find it gone?
That was about 10 minutes ago, so about 7:45.
Okay, I'll get it circulated straight away, and I'll get in touch when we find it.
What's the chances of that?
Fingers crossed it might be found nearby.
I won't be holding my breath.
Remember to get in touch with your insurance company.
I will, but you know what they're like. They're bound to try and wriggle out of paying.
Keep your chin up. Hopefully it'll turn up right as rain.
Thanks, bye.
Bye. Now let's take a few minutes to boost your English vocabulary as we go through some of the words and phrases that we used in that conversation that you might not have heard before, as well as some really useful pronunciation tips. First, we heard in that conversation nicked, pinched and swiped. And these all are everyday English words meaning stolen. Notice that all these words end in ed, but they're all pronounced t at the end. Nicked, pinched, swiped. You try. Oh no, my bike's been nicked. Next we heard double check, and this means to check something twice to make sure it's correct. You know when you leave the house and you lock the door, but then you check it again to make sure you did actually lock it. That's double checking. Can you double check these figures before the meeting? The policeman who called himself PC, which stands for Police Constable, used the phrase righto, which is a nice friendly way of saying okay. It's often used at the start of a sentence to say you're about to take some action. Like this. Righto, let's do some work in the garden. Kerry called her car an old banger, which is another way of saying that it's old and not in very good condition. It's an old banger.
I know it's an old banger, but it still gets me to work and back.
In fast natural English, a D between two consonant sounds, like here it's between L and B, is usually not pronounced, so old banger becomes old banger. You try, old banger. This is done all the time by native English speakers. Try these words. Sandwich becomes sandwich. And girls and boys becomes girls and boys. In the conversation, we heard the word joyrider. And this is a term used for someone who steals a car, usually just for fun, and drives it around. It's not much joy for the person whose car it is, but they're called a joyrider. And the policeman said joyriders are not picky. If someone is really fussy, then they are picky. You might be picky about what you eat. So by saying joyriders were not picky, he was suggesting that's why they didn't care if Kerry's car was an old banger. Now, Kerry said her car had a personal plate, and this is a customised plate. That means you can choose what numbers or letters are on it. So in this case, Kerry's registration number was KER5. People love these plates because they're personal, but they are very expensive. We heard easy to spot, and this means something is very noticeable. If someone is wearing a bright yellow jacket in a crowd, they would be easy to spot. To say this naturally, change the vowel sound in to, the oo, to a schwa sound. That's that little that's so common in English. So to becomes t. So it's not easy to spot, it's easy to spot. And at a natural speed, easy to spot.
You try.
The policeman asked if the car had any distinguishing features. This means, did it have anything that made it stand out from other cars? My glasses and my beard, I guess, are my distinguishing features. One of the distinguishing features of Kerry's car was a dent in the bonnet. And the bonnet is the covering at the front of a car. It's the part that usually goes over the engine. In America, they call it a hood. And another distinguishing feature was a sticker on the bumper of her car. And the bumper is this part of the car that protects the front and the back from minor bumps and scrapes. The sticker that someone called Steve had put on her car said, "Honk if you're horny." Honk means to sound the horn, and horny is to feel sexy. The car was pinched from Kerry's drive, and the drive is the very small part outside of people's houses where they leave their car. Sometimes it's called the driveway. You might have noticed that when Kerry was asked what time she left the car, she said 6:30. This is a common way in the UK of saying 6:30. We just leave out the past, so it's 6:30. We heard the phrase, What's the chances of that? Which is another way of saying, what's the likelihood of that happening? What's the chances of that? And fingers crossed, which is when you're wishing for good luck or good fortune to happen to you. Fingers crossed.
I'm going to win the lottery this week.
What are the chances of that?
Not good, but fingers crossed.
Kerry said, I won't hold my breath. And she meant she didn't think it would happen, or if it did, it would take a long time. She wouldn't hold her breath. She then accused the insurance company of trying to wriggle out of paying her. And she meant they were trying to avoid paying her, trying to wriggle out of it. The policeman told her to keep her chin up. Keep your chin up. And keep your chin up is a positive way to encourage someone. Notice to pronounce this naturally. The your becomes y. So the O-U-R is just swapped for the schwa sound. Your, y. Keep your chin up. You try. Keep your chin up. And hopefully everything will be right as rain, which means everything will be fine, it will be back to normal, it will be right as rain. Maybe after you've had a good night's sleep, you'll feel right as rain. Now perhaps the most important part of the video. It's your turn to take part in that conversation. Your words will appear on the screen as you need them, and for the best results, speak out loud. Hello Lanchester Police, PC Max speaking. How can I help you? I'm sorry to hear that. Where was it pinched from? Are you sure you locked it? Righto, let's take some details. What's your full name? And date of birth? What sort of car is it? Hopefully it's just a joyrider using it to get home. They're not picky. What's the registration number? That should make it easier to spot. Does it have any other distinguishing features? What does it say? When do you know for certain that it was safely on your drive? And when did you find it gone? Okay, I'll get it circulated straight away and I'll get in touch when we find it. Fingers crossed it might be found nearby. Remember to get in touch with your insurance company. Keep your chin up. Hopefully it'll turn up right as rain. Bye. Now the chances of you improving your English will increase if you watch this video. I'll see you next time.